is up, YouTube? It is Nisi here. So I've been keeping this under wraps for about a month. I actually applied for a QA position at Riot Games. Spoiler alert, didn't get the job. But since I didn't get it, I thought it would be a great opportunity to share my experience with you. And hopefully if you apply, if it's your dream job to work there, for me, not really. It was something that I thought would have been cool. It would have worked out. But if it's your dream job and you want to go for it, I'm going to tell you about my experience with the process, what to expect, pros and cons, my personal experience, and yeah, it's something that I think is interesting and people want to know about, and fuck it, I can share it. So this is my interview with Riot Games. Okay, so there was a playtest position posted on Reddit. You need to be able to analyze. It was by Riot AFIC. You need to be able to play the game at a Diamond Plus level, be able to break down the game at a high level, be able to state your points concisely and generate feedback, blah, 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 blah. I saw that post, quickly sent my resume, which I already had a resume done for a job here locally in North Carolina that I submitted a while back. So I literally just changed my shit and sent it in kind of like within 5 minutes of seeing the post. So I had a legit resume ready to go. And I got into the process, surprisingly enough. It opened with some phone screenings. There were 2v1 formats. That's how Riot likes to do their thing. 2v1 interviews, lots of tech questions. And questions that are designed to test your knowledge and make you think outside of the box a little bit. There was 2 phone interviews for me. The first one, I thought I did shitty, but then I got a second interview. I did a little bit better. As the process went forward, I eventually got an email saying that I was invited to go to Riot Games to interview on site. I thought it was pretty cool. This whole process leading up to the on-site interview took about 2 weeks to get to this point. They gave me a ticket to Los Angeles. I got flown out. Everything was paid for. Everything was great. I get there. The campus is awesome. It's a really neat experience. You see how much money Riot Games is working with. And you basically get to the campus early in the morning, well, about 11. You do some interviews, some informal interviews, and then pretty much after lunch, the rest of the day is all formal interviews, 2v1 format, testing your technical knowledge, how you analyze and break down questions, and very cool, very intense. Some of the guys knew their shit, some of the guys knew how to interview, some of the guys not so much, but ultimately it was a cool experience. I was surrounded by a lot of gamers and cool people. So that was, it was fun. It was tiring, but it was fun. A week later, I get a follow-up phone call, saying, hey, thanks for doing this. We're not going to move forward the application. And here's the feedback. For me, the feedback was 2 things. One of them wasn't able to demonstrate to them that I was able to make concise and focused points, and that my inability to do so worried them that I wouldn't be able to adapt to be able to do that fast enough. And the second one was that I cared too much about the competitive players. This one gets me, and not enough about the other things, which I think is hilarious because I think that one goes without saying. But either way, that's how they felt. And, the whole experience was great. I disagree with the feedback. I think my communication style is all over YouTube. Obviously, I know how low elo, high elo, and the disparities between the two works. Obviously, I didn't paint that picture. Most of the interview, I sort of went on a point to prove that I'm the competitive guy. I want to continue to add things that make the competitive players happy. I care about things like replay system, sandbox mode, removing dynamic queue, giving players champions that have a lot of self-expression. Maybe that didn't jive with them. So anyways, pros and cons about the whole experience. The campus was cool. It's a free LA trip, friendly group of people. Can't argue with that. If you get the job, food and everything's there for you. It's a great environment. They want you to like where you work. So that, they definitely nail that stuff. However, I had some cons throughout the whole experience that I wanted to share. The job was not officially a Rioter job. It was like a contractor job, which meant you got no benefits, which they did not articulate to me at any point in the process. until the last interview of the on-site interview. So basically, if they wanted to hire me, and I went through that whole process thinking that I was going to get benefits for working in a place that's super expensive, at the last minute, they basically pulled the rug out from under me and went, if you get this job, you don't get benefits. Okay. So that right away was part of the reason why I was disappointed that I didn't get it. But at the same time, it's expensive living in LA, and this is an entry-level job that probably averages about $40,000. So half of the salary would have been going to apartments and living arrangements and all that stuff. So technically, without the benefits, I make more money doing this. So I don't really need the job financially. The second con, the rioters were late all the time. It gives me the impression that most of those guys don't have a good handle on budgeting their time appropriately. Most of the interview process, for the phone interviews, the guys were often 10 to 15 minutes late for every interview scheduled, except for one. The on-site interviews, my on-site interview was pushed back an hour, and I did not have any... no one was like amped to meet me on time when I got there. So people showed up late for about 15 minutes for the actual start point of my on-site interviews. And then pretty much every interview after that was people running late, people taking their time, getting over to the next office, 5 to 10 minutes standard. These guys do not seem to have a handle on that. So that's something to think about. If they're late for these interviews and they've spent thousands of dollars to fly you across the country to interview with them, and they can't even show up on time, that's a little alarming. That means that they have a lot that they're juggling. And lastly, the process was very confusing. Most of the vibe that I got through the phone interviews, that the on-site interviews purpose was to kind of feel you out as a person, understand how you go about solving problems. The feedback that they gave me at the end of the process basically told me that the whole thing was like super high stakes. Like, they basically went out of their way to tell me that my points weren't concise enough. Well, it's like, well, isn't the on-site interview process more designed to gauge, because you're there all day, it's like more designed to gauge you as a person, as opposed to, is every answer under super scrutiny? Like, do I need to stop every time that I answer a question and try to say it in the way, in the cadence that they're after? And same with the low elo, high elo statement. It's like, well, yeah, I think that high elo is, is in competitive play is the most important thing in the most competitive game in the esport that you want to last for decades. So I thought it was very strange, and I thought it was very, it was mystifying. That's the only way I could put it. If they felt this way about the interview process, I think that they should have said something. They should have been more clear about it. Like, this is high stakes. Think about what you're saying. Think hard about it. If you talk too much, you might not get the job. If you don't jive with the way that we feel about all the elos, you might not get the job. That wasn't the vibe that they painted. So I think it was very like talking out of both sides of their mouth. Overall, I think the experience was, like I said, great. It's probably for the best that I didn't get it. I would have had to go across the country. Mary would have been in Monterey. It would have been hell to see her and all that stuff. And furthermore, I was told at the end of the process to reapply and in 6 months, because I was a strong candidate. Well, if I took their feedback. I'm posting this video, obviously, because I have no intention of reapplying. I have no intention of changing my opinions on like what's important in the game. And I'm not... I don't need the job. I don't need it. I would have liked it. I thought it would have been cool to try out for a couple years. But yeah, I don't need to fit into the mold to feel, I don't need that. I already did that in the Army. So if they want me to change who I am, it's just not, it's not feasible. So anyways, that is the process. That is the Riot Games process. It's goods and it's bads. And it's uglies. If you think that you fit better in with that type of place, then you should apply. Seems cool. Seems like it would be a fun place to work. But just keep all the stuff that I said in mind, because that's the type of shit that if you're not paying attention, they will get you on. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out. And I wanted to, I kind of wanted to vent. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about it. Sorry if it wasn't concise enough. And I will be making more videos in the near future now that I'm done with this process. So thank you guys. I love all of you, and I'm out. Peace, crackers.